Hey guys, so I just got done watching Beast of Our Fathers. Again, as I've said multiple times in my recent reviews, when talking about this movie, I'm sure a lot of people are going, "What the fuck is that movie? I've never heard of this." Most people probably haven't heard of this, and I think I'm probably one of the few people that are probably reviewing this. I think I saw only one other review out there online for this, like on YouTube at least. I don't know. I'm sure there's probably articles. I'm sure somebody there's reviews on IMDb, not favorable. Um, this was a movie. If you want to know how this movie, I came across this movie, why I came across this movie. Like I said, I have been trying to catch up on movies that played locally at my theater or locally at my drive-in during this past summer, and this was a movie that somehow got put out at my drive-in, along with the Legend of Boggy Creek. They played this with a double feature, which was kind of funny. They I remember actually getting a trailer in front of this when I saw Bill and Ted at the drive-in, and I didn't even realize it was a fucking movie. I thought it was just like a commercial for something or something like a TV show or something like that. And then I'm like, oh, this is an actual movie that they're going to be playing. And then I found it was a movie they're going to be playing. From what I gathered, and including from what I gathered from this movie was, I think, shot in Ohio, where I live. I live in Ohio. If you don't know, I've mentioned it a couple times, but if you don't know, that's where I live. And most people that are watching this, that are my friends, already know I live in Ohio. And I don't know. Maybe like the director, they know the director, and the director made a deal with my drive-in. I don't know. I'm not 100%. I'm pretty sure this movie was shot in Ohio because it takes place in Ohio. They blatantly say that many times in this movie, but it looked like it was shot in Ohio. I could believe it was shot in Ohio. Having lived in Ohio for my whole life, but yeah, I went in with this movie knowing really zilch about it, other than it was a Bigfoot horror movie, which is like, hey, we don't see many of those nowadays, so fuck it, why not? And it is a low budgeted movie. I'm like, I know it's a low budgeted movie, and it's a local movie, and I'll be a fair man. I'll give it a shot. I've seen low budgeted horror movies. They're done well. It's just because it don't have a big budget doesn't mean it's going to be a bad movie. And like I said, it's a kind of a local movie. I don't know exactly where in Ohio this was shot, but it's kind of a local movie. So I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I watched the trailer and went, it's on Amazon Prime. If you got an Amazon Prime account, you can watch it for free or rent it. I watched it for free because I have a Prime account. And, well, okay, listen. I just want to say this before I get into my review. This is a movie that's kind of hard for me because I'm like, I support, low budgeted movies. I'm all for making movies, people making movies, and continue making movies. If that's your dream, continue to do it. That's awesome. More power to you. And I almost feel bad for even wanting to make fun of or bash a low budgeted movie because it's a movie that was made on a low budget and had restrictions, and it's not a big budgeted movie, but also at the same time I have seen some good low budgeted movies. This is not one of them. This movie is awful. This movie is is it awful. And it's not an awful that where it's so bad it's good. It's not really a bad so bad like that it's unbearable to sit through. It's somewhere in the fucking middle. Because there are some parts about it that made me fucking laugh when I wasn't supposed to. But there's particularly some technical choices that this movie this movie's not very fucking good, and I'm not gonna just not give it a fucking pass because it's a low budgeted movie or it's a locally or made movie. It's a piece of shit, and I don't know who, I'm not discouraging the director from ever making a movie or anything. No, hey, Josh Manning or whatever his name is. I just would not put this on my fucking resume because this movie's not very fucking good. Holy shit. Where do I begin with this fucking thing? So, everything about it is bad. It's just really bad. There are elements of this movie that are like, if I were I took kind of film classes. I took film classes back in the day, and if I were to turn this in as a project to my professor, I would have failed the fucking class. Because there's just elements of this movie that I'm like, good God, are really fucking bad. From the acting to the editing to the sound design, which I'll get into that in a minute. Everything about this movie is just bad. It's just really fucking bad. There's the acting in this movie is all over the fucking place. It's either underacting or overacting. It's like nowhere in the fucking between. Sometimes like the tone of this movie feels like it's like a slapstick horror movie to a serious horror movie to back to a slapstick horror movie. Like the characters in this fucking thing are fucking something else. But also at the same time, I will give this movie credit. I do believe that this movie was shot in Ohio because a lot of the characters that you see in this movie that are like citizens of this town in Ohio, I believe are real fucking people because I've seen people like this before. So if I'm going to give it any bit of realism, I believe there's some people like this that live in Ohio in this particular town. I can believe it. I believe for a second that they didn't hire actors, they just hired local people. And I can fucking believe that. Like, especially in the scene like where there's a Bigfoot convention. Now that fucking part was funny as hell. This movie has for a brief time becomes like a found footage movie where the FBI agent that's the lead in this movie is investigating these murders that happened in Ohio where he lived. The same place in Ohio where he lived, there's these murders that are happening. And it was the murders of these guys who were Bigfoot enthusiasts who were going out into the woods in Ohio to try to find Bigfoot and were found murdered. And or looked like they were mauled to death by an animal, and there's some animal or teeth marks that maybe were human too. And so he's there to go and investigate. And so for a brief time you see found footage of basically this Bigfoot enthusiast filming their adventures in Ohio, and they go to this Bigfoot convention where it's maybe 2 or 3 tents of people just standing there in a field, and there's a barn, and that's it. That's all there is. It looks like the most rinky-dink, horrible. I'm sure I've never been to a Bigfoot convention. I know there's a lot of people that believe in Bigfoot. I can believe that there's a bigger Bigfoot conventions than this. This has looked like the most rinky-dink, although I could believe in Ohio that just something like this would exist. I don't think in Ohio we are that big on Bigfoot, but whatever. And the acting by all these people in the fucking found footage part of the movie are really fucking bad. Oh my god. But it's very brief and whatever. But the acting is all over the place. Like I said, you get some really horrendous acting in this fucking movie that is laughable. It is really laughable. The main actor is just a fucking wooden wet blanket who has about zero personality. And then you have I remember his daughter was pretty bad. The little girl who played his daughter was really fucking bad. I guess you could kind of explain it away by the ending of why these people are acting the way they do. But oh my god, like the act, even like his partner, the female partner is really fucking bad. Like I said, like tonally, like the way they are acting is just feels like a fucking. Some of these characters feel like from a fucking different movie, like, and they know they're in like a movie. It's fucking. It's really weird, man. It's like the acting is really bad. Also, the biggest, but that really wasn't the biggest problem for me in this movie. The biggest problem for me in this movie, why I really was making fun of it about, like, if I turned this into like one of my professors in a film class, I would get a failing grade, is the sound in this movie. The sound is fucking atrocious. There are times in this movie, the sound is all over the place, because like if like a character's outside and they're talking to other people or something, it sounds fine. But when they're inside, it sounds fucking atrocious. Like, I don't know who edited the sound of this movie or who did the sound of this movie. They should have been fired from the get-go, because I would not. They're like, this is pretty bad. There's like from bad ADR to sounding like actors like obviously sounding like they're in a different location, or they just got really bad sound quality and just said, fuck it, that's it, or that's good for me. Like, I have no idea. This sound in this movie is really atrocious. Like, it's especially when, like, the first 5 minutes, you'll know if you've watched the first 5 minutes of this movie, when the main character's introduced and he's in the FBI agent or FBI office, and his partner, who's the female partner that he has, is talking when he's talking, or like is talking to him, when his female partner's talking to him. Like, listen to the sound quality. It's awful. Like, I have buddies that have made like movies like that sound better than this. They're on low budget. So just because it's low budget, you can't use that as a fucking excuse. That's my point. Like, the sound quality, like I said, I've seen student films that sound better than this. And like, even the editing in this movie, my favorite part of this movie, towards the end of this movie, this literally fucking happened. The main character is going into the woods. It's broad daylight out. It's like fucking broad daylight out when he's about to go into the woods, because he's looking for a certain character who sounds like she's being hurt. So he's like, oh shit, I gotta go into this woods. And when he finds this main character, which I don't think was a very far location, it doesn't seem like it was a very far location. Once he finds this character in the woods, it's pitch black. Like, seconds later, it goes from light to dark. Like, that was like, what the fuck? Like, I thought at first, like, something, like, there was some kind of mistake that, like, and this wasn't supposed to be dark out. But no, it was supposed to be dark out. And I'm like, somebody made a horrible editing decision there. Like, that was fucking hilarious. There's some multiple editing goofs in this movie that are pretty funny. I was aware going in that there was a twist ending in this movie, and the twist ending in this movie is really fucking dumb. It is really fucking dumb. It's a twist ending that, if you sit there and think about it for like 2 seconds, you go, that makes no fucking sense. That not one fucking bit does that make any sense whatsoever. And because you can just sit there and think about, well, what about this person? Or what about that person? What about this person? Like, it's an ending, it's a twist ending that's been done to death, that I've seen a million times before in a horror movie, that is the laziest twist you can do in any kind of horror movie that doesn't involve aliens. I saw this twist just done in a fucking video game, and I even hated it in that Little Hope video game. I don't know if anybody's played it. There's a game called Little Hope that came out just recently, and it had a twist ending that is almost the exact same fucking ending as this. And I hated it there, and I hate it here, because it's the laziest fucking ending that you could do in a fucking horror movie. It's been done to death, and I hate it every single fucking time. And it's really dumb in this movie. Like, it is really goddamn dumb. Because, like, again, if you sit and think about it for, like, 2 seconds, it makes zero sense. And, yeah, it's a really bad movie. I would not recommend this. To anybody. I would not recommend this to anybody. This is a really bad movie. I'm gonna, out of curiosity, I would not even. It's not very good. Like, yeah, it's pretty bad. It is kind of comical watching if you're like a film buff like me and watching some of the gaffes that are made as far as like the editing to the sound, especially the fucking sound. Like at first when the first 5 minutes happen and you're introduced to the characters and you see his partner and like the bad sound quality that you get with her character, you're sitting there like, okay, maybe this was just some bad mistake that happened. Something got messed up in when they shot this and they had to record it later, record her dialogue later, and it just kind of came out like shit, and this is what they got, and then they had to just try to salvage it. I'm like, okay, that happens. I know shit happens. But then it kept happening over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, wow. Like, this is like first day film class, like, level, like, you learn this shit, how not to, mic a movie or mic a scene that you're doing. And this is obviously the guy who made this does not know how to fucking mic a scene whatsoever. Or, like, at least the sound guy doesn't. I think he needs to fire a sound guy. It's really bad. But yeah, I don't recommend it. I feel bad for picking on this movie. I do. Because it's like, I'm not discouraging anybody from making movies. Because, hey, if that's your passion, man, hey, you just, like I said, but don't put this on your resume. But yeah, that's as far as Beast of Her Fathers. I'm gonna try to get around to watching Borat subsequent movie film next. That's my plan for next. Like I said, I am a very busy person right now, so I have very limited time to watch these movies because I'm working a lot. But I will get around to watching Borat sometime here in the next few days. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later.